but look at that. What bass dreams are made of. That's getting a bit better. That's probably getting into the 40s there. For the lure, there's heaps of lures that work with bass. What we're going to be looking at today is my favourites for springtime, and that is spinnerbaits. So what we have here in front of us is one of those lagoons that I was talking about earlier. So there is the river, that tree line over there. That's getting to be quite a very good fish there. That's going to be mid 40s, I'd say. Let's get her back. Well, g'day guys, welcome back to another episode, and this is one that I am super pumped about. It is time to get into our first session for the channel on wild river bass. Got heaps to go over for people that are just looking to start out with these fish. And we've got a pretty good looking arvo as well, so fingers crossed we can get onto a few. We'll roll the intro and get into it. Well guys, I've got absolutely heaps to go through today for you. As usual, you can find the timestamps down in the description, as well as the gear used. And I think we may as well start with that and go over the tackle for chasing bass. Now, while they are generally kind of the size of a bream, they get a little bit bigger. They fight much nastier. So you will get away with using your bream setups, but what I use is the same setup I use for flatties. So this is a 6 to 14 pound or 3 to 5-ish kilo rod. I've got a 2500 size reel, 10 pound braid, and then 12 pound fluorocarbon leader. And if you've never fished for bass before, or you're struggling to kind of get onto a few wild river fish, they are a super structure orientated fish, where especially in the daylight hours, where we've got a couple of hours before that sun starts getting a bit low and into prime bite time, but especially in the daylight hours, these fish will be in tight into snags and anywhere that there's a bit of shade. They got really big eyes, so they probably wouldn't be surprised if it's a bit uncomfortable for them to be out in broad daylight. And they are also dirty fighters. So the closer you can get your lure into structure, the more bites you're going to get. But then they just want to go straight back into their hole, their snag. So you need gear that you're going to be able to put the brakes on them pretty quick, especially if you're tangoing with fish that are getting up around that 50 centimetre mark. So I think this is, I wouldn't really want to go lighter than this. I did used to fish for them with the bream gear when I was starting out, but really I think kind of 10 pound main line is the minimum. And then for the lure, there's heaps of lures that work with bass. What we're going to be looking at today is my favourites for springtime, and that is spinnerbaits, and probably chuck on a chatterbait at some point as well. But I think for this time of year, spinnerbaits are a very good thing to be throwing around. I think the bass, I'll get into their movements in a little bit. Might try and get a bass first before going into that, but this time of year the bass are pushing up through into the fresh water, and I think they're a bit more territorial than in the heart of summer and coming into autumn. So this thing buzzing past the snag that they've set up in and tried to fight other bass for, they want to get it out of there. So spinnerbaits and chatterbaits, I just really recommend them for this time of year, as well as compared to your conventionally rigged soft plastics and divers and things like that. These things are pretty snag proof as well, which is good. As I said, you really want to get your lure right into under the root balls and snags, timber and stuff for your best chance of hooking one. As for the retrieve, it's quite shallow through this system, so generally all I'm doing is getting it in the zone and then just doing a slow roll straight away. In deeper water, certainly pays to walk the whole column of water a bit. So if it's deep water, what I'd do is just do the standard retrieve I'm doing here, a cast in, straight wind, and then if that's getting no luck and it's looking quite bassy in there, then letting it sink to the bottom and then just doing a slow wind from the bottom. And so with the chatterbaits, I'll show off the colour range a little bit later that I like. But it's generally a thing of black and purple and pink, I think are just awesome colours to be throwing anywhere. For clearer water, bit of a more light, bright presentation. There's a bit of an old rule of thumb that if it's quite clear water, you want to be throwing silver colour blades, and then in dirtier, you want to be throwing the brass style and those darker colours for a nice silhouette. So this spinnerbait right here is one of the Molluck's ones. The full name will be down in the description, but there's a lot of good spinnerbaits out there. These ones are in stock through the legends down at Boss Outdoor. So you'll be able to find links to those down in the description, hopefully, as well as links to the other gear used as well. But whatever brand, what I like to throw is around a 1/4 up to 1/2 ounce spinnerbait. And just that heavier weight is going to allow you to cast a bit further if you're struggling to reach a snag, as well as it allows the lure to track a bit more on an even plane as you retrieve. So if it's a lighter spinnerbait and you let it sink and it's a light one, you'll find it kind of comes up to the surface. But these heavier ones just track a bit nicer. And it will mix around with colours. You might even see the next clip I'll have a different colour on because this one's just not working for the day. But I'll go over the lures in a bit. Let's catch a fish. Got him. He's not a bad one either. Nice. So yeah, you definitely want to have a strong drag. You might be scull dragging a lot of fish in, but have it set for that big fish, because the last thing you want is for it to take you straight back into the snag. And there is our first beautiful little wild river bass for the channel. There you go, what a beauty. So with bass, they don't have any teeth, so it's quite fine to put your thumb in their mouth and just do a firm pinch. You don't want to be dropping them or anything. And then also try not to just hold them by the lip for too long, support the belly. But there you go, they are an absolutely gorgeous little fish. Get out of there, Rod. Absolutely stunning. Those big eyes I was talking about, so you can lure fish for them in the dark as well, and I think that's when they're really tuned into things, in that darkness. You do got to be careful, they've got sharp gill rakers right there and then a nasty spine there as well, so gripping them in the lip, that's your safest bet. I'll unhook him, we'll have a bit more of a look at him. So there you go, they are brutes, thick as, very tough fighters. An awesome fish which I got onto way too late in my life. I was a bit of a saltwater snob, but bass fishing has got to be one of my absolute all-time favourite types of fish, or fish to chase. Gorgeous. Off he goes. So there you go, there's one down, and I've covered all of about 20 meters here, I think, which is very promising. I guess next for the beginners who might be struggling to figure out where bass would be, you may as well go over their life cycle a bit, which is very interesting and pretty important for figuring out where the bass will be at which time of the year. So during the colder months, or I suppose the end of autumn or so, bass actually need to do a run down to the brackish water or the salt water to be able to spawn. They actually need the salt to make eggs, I believe. So what generally happens is the mature fish, they'll come down from their freshwater haunts autumn or so, whenever there's a good rain, and then they'll set up in the brackish, do their thing over the winter, and then come springtime they'll start to migrate back up the rivers into the fresh water again, going basically as far as they can get. I read an interesting article a while ago which I'll try and find and link in the description, but I believe it said they found bass in the Hawkesbury system some 500 meters above sea level, so they really try and get up as far as they can. But what they need to do that is either a nice open water system, which this one is not. There's some very shallow parts. And if it is shallow, they'll need a good rain to help them travel back upstream. So during the springtime, what you'll likely find is good fish, good sized fish, stacked up a bit lower in the system, waiting to travel back up. And then coming into summer, they'll spread out through the system, setting up at all their snags and stuff. So this being spring, we're down near the brackish, and it seems, well, I haven't even tried upriver yet, but I just don't think there's much point at this time. But coming into summer, yeah, you'll find them way up the back. There is also, it seems, fish that don't bother traveling down for their spawn for whatever reason. So you can still find fish way up the back at the start of the season, but generally that springtime they're going to be down in the lower reaches. So there you go. Just to add on to that, there are some more kind of unlikely spots out there where you can still find bass, and in good numbers and quite big fish. They're obviously stocked in a lot of big impoundments, but there's also a lot of lesser known impoundments, or just small dams and things like that, that they're stocked in by DPI. And I did find a map of where all these stockings take place, and I'll see if I can link that down in the description too, because yeah, it's very interesting some of the places these bass have been put into. As well as that, you'll find lagoons and things like that that the bass have gotten into during flood times, and they become locked in there. So if you find a back arm of a river that's no longer connected, there is a chance that there's some big hungry bass in there. Now have a look at that for a snag. So I am positive there's going to be bass in there. So if we're having no luck, I'm going to change up colours and see what happens there. But it also pays to be a bit smart about how you work these snags. Now, as I said before, you want to get in as tight as possible to structure, but there's no reason to go for the money cast straight away, because if you get your lure snagged up in there and you have to go for a swim to get it, then you're going to be ruining the snag. So it pays to just be a little bit conservative with your first few casts before trying to really get it in there in the zone. We're going to wade out and fish every side of this snag, the front, the back, because it is big enough to hold quite a few fish. Might pull one across the front. Lots of mullet around. And put one more down in there. Oh, bank shot. Yep, got him. And you really want to get the fish out of there. Now he's clear, I'll stop taking it as hard on him. Don't want to pull the hooks, but there you go. Another beautiful bass. And they fight hard. So he's just working those casts deeper and deeper, and that's the result. Beautiful bass. So there you go, another beautiful Aussie bass. Awesome fish to chase if you've never gotten into them. Highly recommend it. So I'm going to be a bit sneaky here. I'm going to walk down to this backwater and let him go. The last thing I want is for him to go in there and spook the other fish. Whether that makes a difference or not, that's what I'm going to do. And fingers crossed we can get a couple more out of there, because it looks unreal. And off he goes. Right, go in and have a cast at this back edge here. So going over where you're likely to find bass within a waterway. I guess the next step is figuring out how to get at it. So fishermen have a few rights when it comes to where they're allowed to fish. You are well within your rights to be in private property fishing, so long as you stay within the bank. So that means if you find a public access to waters, be it a bridge or something like that, you can then go down to the water and follow that along into private land. Now, I've never had any run-ins with farmers, but you do hear some stories. You see some footage of some unhappy landowners, and you should be respectful always, but that is your rights to travel along the water within the bank. So I'll find the, I believe it's the Fisheries Management Act of '94, and I'll link that, the section, down in the description as well if you wanted to check that out. But that is going to be your best bet for being able to find waters for bass, is find public land. And if it's all public, all the better, but you can go through private property as well. Not over paddocks or anything like that, that'll get you in strife, but within the bank, you're free to do that. Yeah, another one. First cast. Oh. Yes. Oh, it's just such fun fishing doing this. Trekking along. Always found... Oh no. No, there is a... Come back out that way, yes. Ooh-wee, made me work for it. Right. Go on, open your mouth. Alright, there we go, another one, about the same size. Beautiful, first cast into the back of that snag there. I love it. There we go, another beautiful chunky little bass. And that's about a medium-sized one. They do get much bigger, but any size, they are just awesome fish. See you later. Swim down that way. Give me another chance at this snag. But yes, you can walk through private property, and then of course you can also kayak through, but you're going to have to be paddling back upstream to get where your car is, or find another point downriver to pull out. There you go. Can we get another one? Alright, let's see what happens here. Going down the back. Yep, got him. Yep. Oh, Jesus. That is the danger zone. Oh, man. But we got him out. Oh, it's not over yet. Get away from that tree. Yeah. Oh, I dropped him. Oh man, you gotta love bass fishing. See if there's a mate in there. It is pretty high octane stuff. Can't even talk. It's pretty high octane stuff for you know, freshwater fishing. It is really good fun. Yeah, oh shit. Was not ready for that one. Felt him rubbing on a bit of timber there for a second. So that was just over that lone stick hanging out of the water. That lone branch, but you never know what it looks like underneath. It's kind of worth casting at all those kinds of little things poking out of the water, because underneath there could be a good bass snag. Come here. Another little beauty. That looks about to fall out. There it goes. They are just awesome, awesome little fish. Oh, and some of them aren't that little. See ya. One. That's a much better one. That's a good fish. Is he? He might have just gone hard for his size. Oh, we might have a slight upgrade. Back off the drag now, we're through the structure. And that was just over against that pump pipe over there. Yeah. Yeah, here's a better fish. Oh. Sorry guys if I just missed the start of that. I'm too excited, I've been forgetting to press record, but we've just got the best fish so far. For sure. He is a very nice bass. So I've just backed off the drag as I got him away from all the structure, so just so he won't pull those hooks. Stay on just a little bit longer, buddy, and he is starting to turn into a very, very nice fish. Spread the camera, nah. There we go. That's getting a bit better. That's probably getting into the 40s there. Absolute beauty. Yeah, I'll lay you down, get this hook out. Look at that one. Now, I would nearly say that this is a fish that's hasn't spawned, maybe stayed up here, because that is a fat belly. Absolutely gorgeous, and they just go so hard. See you later. Look at this for another gorgeous snag. Surely we'll pull a bass out of here. I guess here's a bit of a tip with getting your casts in the zone. Is what you want to do is feather your cast with one of your hands. So I'll use this hand to just feather the line off the reel. Just ensure that you don't overshoot it and get snagged up. So the last thing you want to do is throw your first cast in and it gets snagged up. Then you're either busting off to tie a new lure in or going in to get your lure back and spooking the whole snag. But look at that. What bass dreams are made of. Yeah, yeah. Another little beauty. Now, I probably should change over to chatterbaits to show how I use them, which is very similar, but look, this spinnerbait's working, so I'll keep it on. Come here, mate. Guess that's a good thing about these single hook spinnerbaits and chatterbaits too, is if you be patient and the bass gives you a chance, you can land the fish and handle it safely without a net and without needing to go to land. He's got a very interesting wound on him. Something's had a good go at him, but it's healed up nicely. There you go, another beautiful bass. Get that rod out of the way for you. Another beauty. Swim that way. Good boy. Nice. So that's been a prime little, probably 200 metres of river covered. It's time to head back up. I do have permission to be on this land, so head back up. I think we'll try a few more snags a bit further down. So might have some more fish for you, would be good. But I just figured I'd pass on a couple more tips, or more about things you should bring with you if you're going bass fishing. And what I like going in is the good old rock hoppers. So these are the ones that have the metal spikes in the bottom, and they're really handy if you're in a place that has a lot of those smooth river rocks, because you go barefoot or with flimsy footwear, your feet just slide off and you end up jamming your toes in between. So they're good for that. They're also good for getting up these steep banks and stuff. and offer, I guess, a little bit of snake bite prevention. And that's the other thing that's worth bringing along as well, especially if you're going out by yourself, is probably a compression bandage, because these freshwater rivers is where the red bellies and browns will hang out and come for a drink and hunt little frogs and stuff. So it's pretty smart to bring a compression bandage with you, or a snake bite kit if you're so inclined. But anyways, we'll go find some more snags. Actually got a change of plan here, gang. Got the river behind me here. My car's just down over this crest, but we're going to walk over this way and I'll show something off to you. Hopefully we get a few fish out of it.